Caves are some of the most unsettling places on Earth. They're dark, silent, and unforgiving. Once you're inside, the world above disappears. And if something goes wrong, there's no way out. Tonight, I'll share 3 true horror stories of cave explorations gone fatally wrong. Turn off the lights, and let's begin. Trapped in Nutty Putty. I'd heard stories about Nutty Putty Cave for years. People said it was claustrophobic, tight enough to squeeze the air out of your chest. I thought I could handle it. When we arrived, the entrance didn't look threatening. Just a hole in the earth, surrounded by weeds and dirt. I remember laughing, trying to shake off the nervousness as we clipped on our helmets and lights. Inside, the air was immediately different, cold, heavy, and damp. The smell was sharp, like whetstone. Every sound echoed back, too loud for such tight spaces. We started crawling. At first, it wasn't bad. The passages were narrow, but manageable. My palms scraped against rock, and my knees thudded into stone, but it felt like part of the adventure. But the deeper we went, the tighter it got. One passage forced me flat onto my stomach. The rock pressed into my ribs, my arms trapped at my sides. I exhaled and slid forward, inch by inch, knowing that if I took a deep breath, I'd wedge myself tighter. That's when I saw a narrow crack to the right. It looked like a shortcut. I angled toward it, pushed in head first, and instantly realized I'd made a mistake. The space closed around me. My shoulders scraped, my hips jammed. I tried to back out, but gravity pulled me deeper. My boots slipped on the slick rock. Suddenly, I was stuck, completely pinned. My chest pressed flat against stone, my arms useless. Each breath was shallow, burning, louder in my ears than anything else. "You good?" my friend called from behind me. I couldn't even answer at first. Finally, I forced out, "No, I'm stuck." They tugged at my legs. Nothing. They tugged harder. My chest compressed so tight I couldn't breathe. I gasped, panic flooding me. Time dragged. I felt sweat soaking my shirt, even in the freezing air. My heart pounded like it wanted out of my body. The thought kept repeating in my head, "If I panic, I'm done." I forced myself to go still, to slow my breathing. Every second felt like a lifetime. Then inch by inch, I started working my way back. Exhale, push, exhale, push. My ribs screamed, my lungs begged for air. My vision sparked black, and then, with one last desperate shove, I popped free. I collapsed flat on the cave floor, sucking in air like it was the sweetest thing I'd ever tasted. My friend stared, pale, saying I'd gone completely still for almost a full minute. I never went back into Nutty Putty. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still feel the stone pressing down on me, squeezing the air from my chest. Lost at Eagle's Nest. Eagle's Nest looked peaceful on the surface. A still blue pool surrounded by trees. You'd never know that beneath it was a labyrinth of tunnels, known for taking divers' lives. People told me not to go. They said it wasn't worth the risk. But I thought they were being dramatic. I told myself I'd be careful. The first few minutes underwater were calm. My light glowed against limestone walls, bubbles drifting upward in silence. My heartbeat slowed as I floated downward, deeper and deeper. At 90 feet, the tunnel narrowed into a black throat. My fins brushed the bottom. That was all it took. The water exploded with silt. In seconds, I couldn't see my own hand. My light was useless. The world went black. I froze, disoriented. I tried to stay calm, but the blackness was absolute. I checked my gauge. 15 minutes of oxygen left, but I was breathing too fast. Each inhale came louder, sharper, like I couldn't get enough. The more I panicked, the worse it got. I reached for the guideline, the rope leading back up. My fingers scraped nothing but water. I turned in circles, chest tightening, lungs screaming. Every kick of my fin stirred up more silt, smothering me in a cloud of darkness. I thought of all the stories. Divers who never came back, their bodies lost in the tunnels below. For a moment, I accepted I was about to be one of them. Then, just as my vision narrowed, my hand brushed rope. I grabbed it like my life depended on it. I pulled upward, hand over hand, praying it led to the surface. My chest burned, my throat convulsed, my lungs begged me to inhale. The water grew lighter, my arms shook with exhaustion. And then, air. I broke the surface, tearing my mask off, gasping so hard I thought my lungs would tear. My whole body trembled, the world spinning. I never dove again. Flooded passage. It wasn't a famous cave, just a local system my friends and I wanted to explore. We thought it would be harmless. We were wrong. The passage sloped downward. At first it was dry, cool, almost pleasant. Then I noticed the ground glistening. A thin sheet of water pooled under our hands and knees. We kept going. That was our mistake. What we didn't know was that it had started raining outside. We couldn't hear it underground. The first sign was the air itself. Cooler, heavier, like a storm sneaking in through the rock. Then came the sound. A drip, a trickle, then a roar. Water surged into the tunnel, fast. Within seconds, it was at our ankles, then our waists. We panicked, trying to climb back up the slope, but the current worked against us. The cave filled like a drain. The roar of rushing water drowned everything. My chest heaved. My throat burned. My boots dragged me down. The water rose to my chin. I gasped at the last pockets of air, clawing upward, but the rock pressed us flat. That's when one of us spotted a tiny gap near the ceiling, a narrow space where the roof of the cave didn't quite meet the water. We shoved ourselves up, gasping into the smallest pocket of air, pressed against stone, the flood raging beneath us. For nearly an hour, we clung there in silence, the only sound the thunder of water and our own ragged breathing. My muscles cramped. My lungs begged. Every second felt like my last. Finally, the current slowed. The water receded inch by inch until we could crawl back the way we came, soaked, shivering, and alive. When I reached daylight, I collapsed into the mud, staring at the sky like I'd been reborn. I've never gone back underground, and I never will. Caves are merciless. They trap, they flood, they disorient. The survivors made it out, but they'll never forget how close they came to being part of the cave forever. Would you ever step inside a cave, knowing one mistake could be your last? Comment below. And don't watch alone. Subscribe to No Sleep Tonight for more true horror.